Good morning. In this lecture video, we're going to look at the effect of exercise and muscle performance. So looking at endurance exercise versus more resistance exercises and their relationship to muscles. There are three different kinds of muscle fibers, and the criteria we use to determine each type of muscle fiber is how fast the fibers contract to each other, and then also how they use ATP, how efficiently they use ATP. So the first type of skeletal muscle fiber is slow oxidative, or SO muscles. These fibers contract slow, and they use aerobic respiration, so they need oxygen in order to make ATP. The second is FO, or fast oxidative fibers. These have very fast contractions and primarily use aerobic respiration, but because they can switch to glycolysis, they fatigue more quickly than the slow oxidative muscles. So because the slow oxidative is going to contract more slowly, they're going to allow for a much more prolonged activity. And then the fast glycolic fibers are going to have very fast contractions, and they're going to use anaerobic glycolysis to make ATP. And these muscles are going to fatigue very quickly, faster than either of the other two types of muscle fiber. So if we're looking at the two types of activities that we can do, endurance exercises versus resistant exercises, they're going to use these different types of muscle fibers. Now, all humans have all three types of fibers, but genetically, we have more of a certain kind of fiber than we do of another. And this is one reason why, if you've ever seen or heard stories of like Olympic sprinters who think as they get older they're going to go and become marathon runners and think that, you know, if I'm a world-class Olympic sprinter, I can be a world-class Olympic marathon runner. But the reason why they aren't typically successful is in part genetics and how many of these SO, FO, and FG fibers they just normally have, which makes them more genetically, it's a genetic advantage for them to be able to do certain types of exercises. So during endurance exercises, these are going to be activities that require a little force but involve numerous repetitions, and they are primarily going to use the slow fibers. When you are training for endurance exercises or doing endurance training, training will help modify the slow fibers by producing more mitochondria. And if you have more mitochondria, you can make more ATP in the presence of oxygen. So more aerobic metabolism can occur. So you're becoming more efficient at making ATP. Training also triggers angiogenesis, which is basically the development of blood vessels. So again, if you have more blood vessels surrounding your muscles, you're getting more oxygen to it, and you're using that oxygen more efficiently, and thus you are supplying those slow fibers with the nutrients they need to contain or continue those endurance types activities. When you're doing resistance training, these are going to require a large amount of the FG fibers because they're going to produce very short, powerful movements that aren't going to be repeated over a long period of time. Think about if you're maxing out on your bench press, you're doing it very quickly and powerfully, and you're doing it one time. A high rate of ATP hydrolysis and cross bridge formation occurs in these types of activities. So you're going to get that ATP is going to be broken down very, very quickly. And when you do resistance training, you're actually going to increase the formation of myofibrils, thereby increasing the thickness of your muscle fiber. And because myofibrils are proteins, remember, the reason why bodybuilders ingest or eat so much protein or sometimes use drinks with protein powder in them is because the idea is that you're putting proteins in to help build this protein up. So we never actually get more muscle fibers when we're exercising. We don't increase the number of muscle cells we have. What we do is we increase the size of them, and that's what makes us increase our muscle tone. So anytime you're exercising and you're working out really hard, you're not increasing the number of muscle cells, you're just increasing their diameter or their thickness.